and welcome to the Circus of Crazy, also known as the world. I'm your ringmaster, GalaxyOfInk, and today we're going to talk about, I think, a situation that's happening with some YouTube stars. But before we actually get into that, just a few quick notes. One, I'm coming up on my midterms week, so I think you guys remember finals last year. I had to take a break. This year, I don't think I'll have to take a break, but the video next week probably isn't going to be as great because as I talk, I have, two midterms tomorrow, and a midterm tomorrow, a final tomorrow, another two midterms the day after that, and then I really get into the full week. That was just less than half of my classes, so then the next week is really the crunch midterm week. So and both of my midterms are like the big ones. I have 3 midterms in 2 days, and those are for the big classes. And those are Monday and Tuesday, and I'm film on Wednesday. So, it might not be that great of a video next week. I'm just warning, it'll probably be pretty short. Also another thing, if I look uncomfortable throughout this whole video, I think I've mentioned it before, but I get I think it's called water in the knee, but basically my knee kind of swells up, and it's very uncomfortable, especially to sit like this. But to be honest, it's not any less uncomfortable in any other position, so I just kind of have to deal with it so far. Basically, I haven't, gotten any treatment for it or anything. I don't actually know what it is, but it's pretty uncomfortable, and it pops up every once in a while. I can't remember if I've talked about it or not. Oh, yeah, and, lastly, I'm looking to film the next one to be a music cover, mostly because I found out a way to finally use the Blue Yeti together, and to film with it. I finally figured out, step 1, which was how to actually film with the Blue Yeti, without hooking it up to my camera. So I found that step 1, and my problem right now really is that I don't, I have a system to, record that on my computer, but I don't know how I would sync. I don't have a good enough system right now. I'm looking for one. I'm in the midst of, looking for a system that will sync the video audio well, and the best ways to do that. So I think next time it'll probably be a cover or something short like that, which is a lot of talking, mostly just because it'll help me figure out how to do that. Or just, I almost wish I'd filmed the bullet journal video after this, after I figured out how to use the microphone, which would have been best used as a voiceover for the first time that I'm using it, but, of course not. Things can't go right. What's things going right? But that's about it. So, hopefully I'll have a lot better sound quality next, a lot better sound quality, next video, but, yep, let's get right into it. So I hope, I'm pretty sure that everybody knows, that mostly who everyone's talking about when this subject comes up is just the sweet, sweet, perfect, just Logan Paul, who I have never been a fan of, and at this point, never will be. So, he's just got a great reputation. Him and his brother, they're the creme de la crop of YouTube. They really just show the best that YouTube has to offer. But I think it's happening with a lot of other YouTubers lately, in the sense that I think a lot of the YouTube cult personalities have diminished a lot. I think there are still some, top people. There are still some people that people flock to. Actually, Markiplier, I think he's trying something new. I don't really know the situation is there. I haven't actually been watching a lot of YouTube, all that often, because I've been doing a lot more reading and stuff like that, so I actually haven't been watching YouTube all that much. So I can't really say that I'm too into it, in with each specific group, but, the overall mood, to me, seems to be that there's a lot of people who are just, overall, I think YouTube personalities are diminishing in, I don't know, maybe it's just me, in which case, if it is just me, you can just write that angry comment down below, but, I think overall there's a lot of, YouTube, cult personality stuff has been diminishing. I think, Markiplier's been diminishing a bit in the sense of that group of personality. Actually, I take that back. It's just that he diminished with me a lot further than he diminished with everyone else. Sorry, I'm a little sick still. I think Jacksepticeye is actually going up a lot, which is good for him. I've always liked him, so that's good for him. PewDiePie's going down. And, you know, I'm just gonna come out and say, for good reason, I kind of ditched that boat a while ago, but I was on that boat, and I'm sorry to say that I was, kind of in a way. But I think Logan and Jake Paul are really the weird sort of examples of this. For instance, I think it was last summer. Gosh, I'm losing track of all sense of time. When, you know, Jake Paul had his huge, lighting bonfires out in his pool and, jumping on reporters' trucks. And, oh, by the way, for anybody who uses the, excuse that he's a young kid and doesn't know to do that, I am, like, 6 years younger than Jake Paul, and I would never do half of the stupid stuff that he's done. So that's not an age issue, that's just, he's an immature idiot. Just throwing it out there. But I think especially, because isn't Logan older? They're not twins, are they? I have no idea. I think if they were twins, there would be more of a deal. So I think Logan's the older one, correct? But there's been a lot of start around those two in particular because they've grown such a personality on YouTube, and yet YouTube seems kind of reluctant to do anything with them. For instance, both of them, I don't think either of them were invited to VidCon, which was strange considering how big of cult they, like, how large they were during the summer. They were even bigger during the summer than they were, like, now. Like, they were huge. It was just making fun of them all day, every day. And so, but they did, I believe, go into the YouTube's yearly end, which I didn't watch, because like I said, I haven't been keeping up with YouTube, like, at all lately. But now we have the, issue of Logan Paul being somehow, just somehow, even stupider and worse than his brother, who lit a fire in his pool that went up to like 20 feet in the air. Somehow, he got stupider than that. And I don't think I have to explain the story, but for those who just sort of don't know, there's this forest in Japan. In English, it's kind of known as this, you know, creepy, suicide forest, as this creepy place to go. It's kind of seen as a haunted house, I think, in America, which I think is the thing that Jake Paul was looking into, but, it's an actual place where a lot of people go to commit suicide, and there's a lot of actually good, going up to the path, which I believe he didn't show in his video. I didn't watch it, A, because I think that'd be really, it's a disturbing video, and I don't know if I could handle that, but B, because I'm not giving that man any views. I'll just watch people re-uploading it, thank you very much. This one time, I'll just go to a re-upload if I really want to see it. I don't want to give him anything. But he, goes into this forest, which is known for, a lot of suicides happening in the area, and by the way, for people who don't know, there's a lot that happens, I believe it's Alaska. And Alaska, I am sorry if that's not true, but there's quite a lot of places in America, too, that have a similar sort of area, this is a place where people go to end their lives, and it's a sort of area almost as, I mean, you are walking into a cemetery of sorts, and very clearly, just right from the get-go, he was not treating it the way that it should be treated. You don't walk into would you walk into a cemetery or a place where, would you walk into a place where people had died? Just putting it in context of, would you walk into a place where a ton of people have died, wearing a Toy Story hat? Would you do that? I think that just kind of, right off the get-go, says that this wasn't going to be good news. I think, no matter even how it would have ended, even if he hadn't shown what he did show, which became the main headline of that, it was still disrespectful, just the way that he was acting and walking in. And, by the way, he did a lot of other disrespectful stuff in Japan. Someone made, I think it was, AJ Plus, I think it was their news site, they made a nice little clip of all the horrible things he did in Japan, just showing that he's just the worst kind of tourist, literally the worst, and, gosh, you know, I mean, I'm even gonna talk micro stuff. he doesn't ask every single person on the street who he just runs up and pranks, whether or not they want to be in this video, does he? Because probably most of them, I'd say, don't speak English, so he probably didn't ask them, and, they probably didn't want their face in any of his videos, because I know I certainly wouldn't. So I think that, just right off the get, I think that's a thing that people don't talk about all that often. There's quite a lot of, vloggers, perfectly fine vloggers. I'm not saying there's a problem with vlogging overall, is what I'm saying. That'll blur out people in the background. Or they'll do the really smart thing, which is that they hold the camera themselves, and the way that they position the camera, you know, the easiest way to hold the thing is that they just show their face and the other people who already agreed to be on camera. And they don't, you know, run up and talk to random people. And if they do, it's probably with a specific set of questions. And after they probably ask whether or not they want to be in the video. So there's plenty of vloggers who do that and are pretty successful doing that. So I think that's another thing just to say, I think both of them, Jake and Logan, have been doing that for a while now, and I think that is a problem with the more immature set of vloggers. Just disrespecting people's privacy, like just right off the get-go. I think that's an issue. God, wouldn't it be funny if the like Pollard fans or whatever just attacked me for this video? Oh God, I'd laugh. I'd laugh really hard. Because the thing is, I mean, it's young kids watching it, right? Like, it's kids younger than me. And that's the other thing is that people say is that, well, his fans are all really young. And I'm like, well, when they really started first coming up, I was like I was at the, height, like, the end of, they're popular among, like, 12 to 15-year-olds. And I'm right at the end of that. So when they're, like, really started first coming up, I was 14, I think. So, like, I was right at the end there, and I've never liked them. I think it's just a personality issue. And I'm not saying that you have a horrible personality if you like them. Like I said, I was a fan of PewDiePie for a while. People change. He went into this wow, I can tangent really well, doesn't everybody know? He went into this sacred forest, and, he ended up stumbling across someone who had recently took their life. And, he put that person on from what I understand, because again, I haven't seen the video, he, put that person on camera, again, of course, without asking, I mean, that person was deceased, and that should be something that you advise against before you just put it on camera to show to your young audience, and you certainly didn't ask the victim's family, how they felt about that, and this person who was found on camera was shown to how many people, and that's not right for them, and that's not right for their family at all. It's just not. Like, that's just a blatant fact. And he tried to cover it up at the end with, you know, I'll donate to X charities, give your money here, and, you know, suicide's never the last option, which is all fine and well, but you didn't need to start that video with walking into a sacred place and making fun of people and, you know, just generally being the worst type of tourist that's ever existed. You didn't need to start it like that. You could just make a video saying, how all the, bad things about suicide and trying to warn people off of it and just how you're gonna donate there. You didn't need to do all the other horrible stuff you did. But I think around both of them, it's decreasing a little with, that was, I think, just a big kick of people are decreasing in liking these sorts of stars. And I think the reason for that, is that, frankly, the news is pretty entertaining nowadays. This is just a wild off-base theory that I haven't, like, looked into or anything, but I think the news is getting pretty wild now, and I think there's a level of, also, with the news getting wild, there's a lot more real stories, in a sense. We've brought back the threat of nuclear annihilation from the 60s, so that's just, everybody feels great with that, and it's just, I think everybody feels scared at sometimes with what's going on in the news. So, like, everywhere around the world. So I think that's just a thing of people being more aware of the news, really, and I think that's taking away, I mean, the White House is almost a reality show, and I think that's taking away from these people who were personality people, And I mean, they're doing fine. They're coasting. They're doing great. I mean, of course, also YouTube itself has a thing to help with that, with their lovely adpocalypse, which I can't really speak of because I've just never been monetized, so not like I'm getting hit or anything. But I think with that's going down as well. I think there's quite a lot of reasons for it, but I really think that people are becoming just more interested in other types of things, and I don't think that this is going to be a permanent thing. I think I hear a lot of the older class of YouTube saying, this is it. This is it. Like this is all that's going to happen, and I don't think that that's the case. I don't think that. I personally even watching when the apocalypse first hit, the worst of it, when that happened, before people were even leveling to say things against it, and YouTube changed their policies on a lot of it. I was there for that, and even then I didn't think it was gonna be wiping out this generation of comedy or whatever, or that it was a specific attack on these people. I don't think that's it at all. I just think that YouTube, much like how a school, I think, almost looks like how a school looks at closing for a snow day. They don't think about the sports that they're affecting, or that might have a game soon or anything like that. I just think YouTube was looking at it from advertiser standpoint, which they're fair to do. They're a company. I don't think that was ever going to be a thing that happened, but I definitely think that there will be a resurgence of just new personalities. This is the first generation of YouTube that we're watching, I think, which is interesting. A lot of the people that are popular right now are in their late 20s, I'd say is the average age, and you have a new wave of, okay, well, let's admit, less than satisfactory people, like both Paul brothers, who are in their early 20s, and then you have a lot of younger people who I think will take up the reins. Maybe they'll be me. That'll be fun. Only thing to do is try, but I think there'll be a resurgence of a better sort of thing. I don't think YouTube's gonna die out anytime soon. I don't think it's gonna die out. I don't think it's gonna be ruined. And I think it'll just keep going. All this stuff kind of keeps going. Even to look at TV shows, someone leaves a TV show and you think it's gonna be over, that'll be the ruining of everything, and then someone just new comes up. Or your TV show ends and it'll be the worst thing ever, and then someone new comes up. I think it's very similar to that. But we'll see. All in good time. So it's gonna be it for today's video. Remember, next video probably won't be that A+, with everything that's going on with my midterms week, but that's gonna be it for today's video. You can click right here to subscribe, and you can click right here for more videos. You can click down below to like or comment. Thanks. Bye!